Hi, I'm Trisha, Research Manager at IMMERSE.
I'm Christina, Curriculum and Assessment Manager at IMMERSE.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots, Converse on the Verse. This show is all about diving into the pedagogy and efficacy behind IMMERSE, the first virtual reality language learning platform designed specifically for live language teaching and learning.
In this episode, we look at IMMERSE'S curriculum and how it can prepare learners for the workforce.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Connecting the Dots. Today, I'm going to be asking Christina about how teaching adult learners in the workforce differs from teaching, university students or another population. So to get started, Christina, tell me, how does teaching for the workforce differ from teaching your everyday learner that may be learning a language to go travel?
Okay, excellent question. So, adult learners are always coming to learn for a very specific reason, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
an adult learner might come to learn for travel, or they may have a family member, right? So, that kind of language we're going to teach is going to be that what we call basically your everyday general English, right? When we get adults coming for that specific, unique reason of work, it might be to get a job, it might be to advance in their current position. What they're really looking for is the language that they need to be successful in that workplace. So, what does that involve? Well, it's usually a more formal level of language, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Second, there are additional skills that go along with the workplace. I mean, think about it, like being able to negotiate, being able to manage communication, being able to solve problems in a professional manner, right? So those are the skills that an adult learner who is wanting to upskill those skills for the workplace would encounter in a workplace language program.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And you kind of already touched a little bit on my second question, but I was wondering, being able to use a language in the workforce, it's so much more than just knowing the language, right? You also have to understand pragmatics and interpersonal communication. And I mean, there's all these different elements. So I'm curious what skills, you mentioned like negotiating, but what types of skills do we specifically cover that a learner could then go apply directly at their job?
Excellent question. So, at Immerse and across all our languages, we do have classes that are definitely designed for the adult workforce. Because, like you said, we're not only building the negotiation skill,
Hmm.
but we're building that cultural knowledge that they also need to be successful to apply that language
Right.
in what environment. So, we both know about pragmatics and the importance of, right, all of that when it comes to being a successful language speaker. It's not just about the structures that you're using, but it's about the timeliness of those structures and the
Hmm.
appropriateness. And what we might even say is the register, right? I'm talking to my coworker and you and I may be negotiating, something. It's going to be very different when we're going to be negotiating with Quinn, our CEO, or Misty,
Right.
our chief learning officer, right? So all of that is built into our lesson. So, negotiation is one, but we even have things like asking for a request, making a request. And there are lots of levels of making a request. Making a
Hmm.
request like, hey, Trisha, can you fill in for me at this meeting versus taking time off? So all of that is different language. And again, that cultural competence that we need to build in alongside that is really important.
So how do you think, thinking about our current immerse curriculum and just what we offer on the platform, how do you think that ties? Like, what advantages do you see for adult workers?
Well, oh, so many, right? So
I know
the
yeah.
the first one is the real world scenarios. So we know for adult learners, okay, adult learners, there's one thing that highly motivates adult learners, and that's relevancy. They need to be able to see that what they're learning can be immediately applied in their life. If not, they're going to check out. Okay. So in Immerse, these real world scenarios that we have, okay, over 40 different scenes. So if I'm working in a restaurant, I'm going to learn language in a restaurant or an airport or a hospital or a business environment, right? In our networking room there. So we have these scenarios. So again, when you use language, and you've done all the research in this, right?
Hmm.
But when you use language in that environment, right, we know that the acquisition is going to increase. The other thing is when you're in that environment, whether it's a class that's kind of denoted as a professional language or business language course or a class or not, we're going to bring in that industry specific language. Okay.
Right.
You can't talk about, being in a restaurant without talking about all the language that you would be using in that restaurant, or working in a hotel and not talking about the language or bringing in that language for that. So pairing that real world scenario with that industry specific language
Hmm.
really, I think, sets Immerse apart when we talk about being successful for adult workforce learners.
And I want to go back just briefly to what you mentioned about the research, because there is so much research done in psychology looking at how actually learning in this context that you're going to use the language later. And we know this, right? We've seen this
Right.
with our own students. But just to really, reiterate that we do have a lot of evidence showing that the retention of that language is higher, the transfer of the skills outside of ER or outside of even our desktop experience into the job is higher. And so I think that's something that I don't think we can state enough, is the importance of actually being in that environment,
Right.
really interacting with the scene, really role playing, and I mean not even role playing, really just doing what you would do in real life.
Being
It's huge.
right. And there's probably not a language teacher on this planet that hasn't taken their students
Right.
to a coffee shop to practice ordering coffee, that hasn't
Right.
brought in menus from a restaurant, right? Because we try to build that. We've been trained to try to build that real world context in our classrooms.
Right.
Well, here, that's already done for us in Immerse, right? We have all these beautiful scenes that we can bring learners to.
And so tell me, that's obviously our live lessons and our connect sessions, but how do you think even the AI or the learning journey we have on the platform, how do you think that supports adult learners?
Great question. So, one thing with adult learners is first they're adults, right? So being able to self-direct their own learning is a very high value that they have. Okay. So, in Immerse, our learners self-direct their learning. They decide, do I want to take a class? What kind of class do I want to take? Or do I want to
Mhm.
go to a conversation group? What do I want to talk about in that conversation group? Or maybe I just want to practice with an AI avatar. So it's a very, very powerful tool when we talk about self directed learning paths. They can target their practice, right? So if I just want to go practice that conversation with an AI avatar, I can do that. Then, if we think about our classes and our conversation sessions, we can think about that flexible learning, right? As an adult learner, I'm working, I may have a family, I have all these outside obligations. Well, being able to study on my own schedule is priceless, right? So, the fact that we offer classes pretty much round the clock,
Mhm.
7 days a week, that flexible learning definitely fits that self-directed learner. And then, adult learners want to focus on their weaknesses. And this is the big difference between probably your 18-year-old, right? And your 25-year-old. I want to go in and improve on what I know I'm weak in. So being able to choose those lessons, those connect sessions to focus on my weaknesses as an adult learner, again, a very high value for, in the self-directed learning path. And all of that really helps them stay motivated as learners, right?
Right.
So, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm seeing immediate relevancy. It's flexible. It meets my schedule. So all of those things really feed into that self-directed learning path.
And I think what's amazing is, like you said, I mean, you're choosing the lessons you want to take, the AI practice you want to do. So if you see something that you're like, hey, that wouldn't help me in my job necessarily, but this would, you're not being forced to kind of follow a path. Like you really get to choose exactly what you need that you can apply immediately in your job.
It's
Um,
like, I love my analogy. So it's like, being at a restaurant, right?
right,
And you choose your main course,
right,
you choose your side dish, you choose all that. And
right.
adults can make informed decisions, right? So,
Right. Yeah, they know what they need to know better
right.
than anyone. So, Christina, tell me if an employer is listening to this and they're like, I want to get my employees, language training, where would they start if they wanted to work with Immerse?
Oh, well, they could start at our website, right? And and definitely dig in and reach out to our team. We're definitely open to showing demos and showing how we can leverage the tools we have to increase your employee success.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Christina. This has been so informative. I feel like I learned a lot, and I appreciate you answering all my questions.